Alrighty, look who we have sitting with us today.
Glad
the
to be
one,
here.
the only,
It's a treat.
Lawyer Mikey, and his wife behind the camera. She's our step-in producer today.
Hi, Joanna.
All the way from Pasadena. Thank you very much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Both of you guys.
Who is Michael Carrillo?
I'm a civil rights and sexual abuse attorney based in Pasadena, California. I have a lovely wife, Joanna, and my two kids back at home.
Two beautiful kids.
And I'm now a longtime friend of Eric.
You know, this year will be our 9-year friendiversary.
Yes. And Ronnie, of course, as well, and RJ and all the good friends here.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's get that mic up a little bit for you, just so we can hear you too. There we go. Perfect.
Boom.
Just want to make sure we can hear you because you have important things to say.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
So you are a civil rights lawyer. Who are your typical clients?
Most of our cases are related to school sexual abuse.
Okay.
And so we represent children that have been sexually abused by a teacher, a coach.
Somebody in authority.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then the other aspect, the other area is civil rights cases. And most of what we do is police deaths,
Okay.
meaning police shootings, officer-involved shootings, or asphyxia cases, similar to the George Floyd incident.
So I have a friend who is from Stockton, California, who was actually involved in a police brutality case, and I was wondering if this made its way down to SoCal, if you guys knew about this.
Yes, I remember seeing that, and we stay pretty in tune to the cases around the nation. That's one that definitely caught my eye.
Man, brutal. So you deal with a lot of police brutality, SA, we'll say SA just for YouTube's sake. Was this always the law you wanted to do, or did you have a different idea of like doctors, they think they want to be a plastic surgeon, and then once they're in the field,
They become a urologist.
they become something else, right? Did you always want to go into this branch of law, or was there something else you envisioned for yourself?
I didn't really envision what type of law I was going to practice. It was more, let's become a lawyer and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what brought you to this branch of law?
When I was practicing at first, I started doing criminal defense and family law. And they say family law is the best people on their worst behavior. Criminal law is the worst people on their best behavior.
Oh, interesting.
And I was miserable, hated it.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait until I retired.
We know about family law a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'm an
Yeah.
OG in family court.
That seems like one of those ones too where they like it get dragged out for a really, really long time too. Is that true?
All the time.
Okay.
Well, think about it. If it's parents fighting over custody, maybe somebody cheated, it's just they want to stay involved in that life. The only way you do that is by fighting it out in court.
Yeah. Vicious.
Viciously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that money goes down the drains to attorneys.
Well, I always said that. I always said, all this money you're paying me, that could be the kid's college tuition.
Right.
Yeah. It's
But
crazy.
You don't see that with your anger. It's clouding your
Right.
judgment.
Right. And what was your dad doing at that time?
Criminal defense and some civil rights litigation.
So he said, son, you hate it over there? Come on over here.
Well, there was one case in particular that he and I joined together on. This was like 2011.
So hold on. Your dad's an attorney then?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And you
I
guys
probably should have stated that.
Well, yeah. But no, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to back up a little bit. So your dad's an attorney. You get into law, and I kind of view something like this as like brothers playing on the same sports team or something like that, where you got to actually work with your dad.
Yes and no.
Okay.
My dad, I love him to death, but in terms of running a successful practice, he's more concerned about fighting the good fight, getting justice. And if that means he'd rather get justice and in his mind what justice is versus getting paid, he'll get the justice route. And so growing up, that was a little hard to stomach. And that's something that I told myself when I was a kid, if whatever I'm going to do a lot better than my dad because I don't want to go to bed hungry.
Yeah.
And it's, everyone thinks, oh, your dad's a lawyer, you raise his money. That's not what it was at all.
Okay.
That's not what it was.
Well, that's what I would have assumed. So he was, when you say fighting the good fight, he was taking cases that weren't maybe the most money-making cases, but he was fighting in the arena of court for the causes that he felt needed to be fought.
Yes.
Which is a great example to set, though, for a young
100%.
attorney or son.
I mean, now looking back, I get it. I
Okay.
respect it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
back then, going to bed,
Sure.
you don't
Hungry.
appreciate it. Dad's
Yeah.
not home.
Yeah.
There's
no
not
new
much to
shoes
eat.
like the other kids have.
I didn't get all that.
Well,
Yeah.
it was probably the perfect recipe that made you who you are, because you are a go-getter, but you're also one of the most compassionate, loving, caring people that I know.
Well, to reiterate, working on the defense of kids and civil rights.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you can somehow make money doing that, there's nothing. It's admirable.
I remember when I met you guys on vacation and I heard what you did. It really,
I know. It's that one fly every show.
It's here every
That's
episode.
okay.
Every show.
It's here every episode. He
Wants to listen. That's
If you
okay.
bring out chopsticks and catch it, bro, you should do an award for that.
No, I just remember hearing, when we met on vacation, what you did, and I thought, like, wow, that has to be a really good human being, somebody who does that and helps these people who have been wronged by people they shouldn't have been wronged. If you didn't go the law route, what do you think you would be doing? Like, what was next in line
good
for Michael
question.
Carrillo?
Professional DJ.
Oh, we were just talking about that before the show started. Yeah.
Okay, so you do have a DJ background.
Yes.
And we are at a club. Maybe that's
Like,
what we
well,
should
hold
have
on.
done. We should
Like-
have done a segment like at the end where Mikey gets on the turntables
But
and
it's like,
shows
hold
us
on.
what
It's
he's
like
got.
80s hair metal that you spin, right? Like Bon Jovi. No. Okay.
I have some good stories though.
Okay,
I'll tell
do you?
I DJ'd in Orange County, and one of the popular clubs at the time, Britney Spears was there. I DJ'd for her once. Paris Hilton was there. I DJ'd for her once. Like I
Wow.
was doing my thing.
Okay.
guys.
Okay.
See? I'm not just
So
some
you had a
stuffy guy
path.
in
So
a
like when you
tie.
say like alternate path, like there was a path. I mean, if you're DJing for those names, there was a path.
I mean, I was like an opener for one of the main
All
guys.
good. Hey man, we're gonna
But-
we're gonna go with that.
One's a little more fulfilling than the other.
Yes. I mean, the other path was opening a bar just like this
Yeah.
Yeah.
and going down that route. But to
You
have
still can.
Well, being out at the bar late at night is not good for my marriage or for
I
my kids. So,
know.
hi, honey. I
That's
love
why
you.
we pay people to run the bar. You don't have to be there. See?
I know what you mean.
That's tough. It's tough.
A couple questions for you about being a lawyer, litigation. Obviously, nobody loves litigation. I guess maybe if you're an attorney, you love litigation. But how often do cases actually go to litigation versus settle beforehand?
99% of my cases go into litigation. There is no settlement beforehand.
Okay.
And a lot of the billboard guys that you see, it really pisses me off because they settle for peanuts on the dollar.
Like Saul Goodman.
Even Saul Goodman does a better job because
Oh,
he
really?
fights harder than the billboard guys.
Okay.
And I'm sure they're going to hate to hear this if they ever heard this, but
Yeah.
they just settle early. And that's
Okay.
their business model. Just pump and dump. That's
Right.
it.
Okay.
I mean, you could get a lot more money if you constantly have somebody bringing in low numbers versus if you're spending a long time fighting for a higher number.
Yeah. It's also the type of cases you're doing too,
Yes.
right? Where if something's worth fighting for, you fight for it. type deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't
Okay.
ever want to walk away feeling like you didn't give your best, which is crazy to hear that there are attorneys out there like that.
There are.
But is it?
I mean, I mean, yeah, I just want to see the good in everybody.
I know.
Does somebody paying a settlement automatically equal guilt?
Well, so we handle things after the criminal conviction or after that part is kind of closed out.
Oh, okay.
And most of our cases are against entities that protected this monster.
Got it.
And so a lot of times these folks, I mean, if you're working with somebody, chances are Joe Smith down the hall, you know that they're a creepy person or a molester. But all of a sudden, when somebody brings it to light, they look the other way and pretend like they never saw anything.
Okay.
So we hold those institutions accountable.
Got it. Whether it be like a school or a business or a church or anything that has any sort of power that could have done something, but
chose
for
not
whatever
to.
reason decided not to.
Exactly.
Okay.
They are accomplices in my eyes because you don't give the keys to the car to the molester without some sort of oversight.
100%.
And 99% of the time, there's so many red flags that get missed,
Yeah.
and the kids
Which
suffer.
is frightening. Yeah.
So being an attorney, I feel like obviously you need to be very knowledgeable, but I feel like you also kind of have to be a good actor. You have to be a good negotiator. It's almost like you need to call people's bluff.
You can't handle the truth.
And the reason I asked
Love
that
that
is
scene.
because I was also in a litigation myself and kind of saw like, are they bluffing? And so let's say you were my legal representation and we received a settlement offer from opposing counsel. I'm all trying to use good terms here. We received a settlement offer.
Objection.
Overruled.
There you go.
Turned.
It's pretty good, right?
Overruled.
Approach the bench, please.
Yeah, yes.
We received a
Ronnie.
settlement offer and they say it's their best and final. And we say, no, we're going to see you in court. Is that best and final offer really a best and final? Or could we potentially go to court, right? We're going to trial. I'm like sweating. I'm thinking like, oh my God, I have to take the stand. Like, do I really want to do this, right? And then on the steps, they're like, hey, just kidding. We actually don't want to go to trial. We have a better settlement offer for you.
Best and final doesn't usually mean best and final.
Hey.
There's always a little wiggle room.
Hold on, like smoky back rooms. Like I imagine the defense, the prosecutor gets together and go like, hey, we know this is not the best deal. Come on.
But we're going to inch them to see if they take it.
Yeah.
And then,
How desperate they are
yes,
for...
knowing that we still have a little bit more room to give.
Got it. Okay.
Interesting. So if you guys ever
File
go to
that- file that
litigation,
away. File that
remember
away.
that. Remember that. Never think best and final is actually best and final.
Should we do like his 800 number on the bottom of the screen?
Yes, we'll do a Carrillo law
Okay,
firm
all right.
advertisement. Ooh, actually, that's what we'll do that at the end.
We should have brought neck braces. That'd have been funny. Anyway.
Neck braces. I don't get that reference. Is this an old man's
Because
joke?
he's like a personal injury lawyer. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. The
it's-
billboard guys that he's talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you've
I
been
got it.
injured.
Thank you.
Not him.
I can imagine it gets pretty intense in a courtroom, right? You are essentially trying to prove somebody's argument false, wrong. Does that bad blood ever carry outside of the courtroom, or do you
Like with
battle with like the
other
opposing
attorneys?
Yeah. Or do you like battle it out? I mean, you're like, this guy's a dirtbag, whatever, and then you're like, do you want to go get a drink afterwards?
Do you have like an arch nemesis in Pasadena or the LA County area?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of these gentlemen, I'll shake their hand at the end, and that's
Okay.
because they were straight with me from the beginning to the end. We may disagree, but you're straight with me.
Yeah.
As my wife knows, and she hears this all the time. There are lawyers out there that I genuinely do not like. I don't want to say hate,
Right.
because they slighted me, they fooled me, and maybe that's on me that I let them fool me. But no, I don't get along with it. I will not have a beer with a lot of these gentlemen.
Because this is like, it's a cross section of humanity. Your attorney, there's still people, and there's people in the game for different reasons.
Yes,
Okay.
with bad intentions.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I just remember during my litigation in, I almost said where.
Well, it's over, so you can talk about it.
Well, I asked my legal counsel, like, oh, can we talk about it on the show? He was like, I would just keep it very vague.
You can appeal or
So when
something?
I told the situation on the show, what happened, people don't know where it happened.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like they could figure it out if they know where. But I remember
Nebraska.
Sorry. We went to court and, the opposing counsel walks in and my attorney's shaking hands with them. And I'm like, bitch, let me find out you're friends with these people. And you guys are like working a backdoor deal. Like which he wasn't, but it made me think.
Yeah.
How close are these attorneys outside of work,
Well, I've heard it said to me by an older lawyer, you have three audiences. It's the jury, the judge, and your client. Because you have to sometimes put on a show
Yeah.
that you really hate this other person
Right.
because they don't like the other lawyer. They don't want to see you shaking hands. So I
Right.
get it. Sometimes you have to put on that show.
There's the acting aspect of being an attorney.
Well, now,
Cool.
can I ask a sort of an inverse question about that too? Have you ever represented somebody that you didn't like, that you were like, damn, I have to do my job, but they are not a good person, and I was hired to do something? Not saying that maybe they were guilty or anything, but like, have you ever had that conflict of conscience?
Yes, when I did criminal defense work,
Okay.
there was a lot of those situations where I didn't like my client.
Yeah.
I knew they were guilty. And it's hard, but
Yeah.
you have a duty to the client to
Yep.
represent their interests and protect their rights, even if that means you don't like them.
Fiduciary duty.
What's that?
Fiduciary duty.
Well,
Fidu-
that's finances, but
Yes.
But at least legal, because in our country, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
And you have a right to an attorney, and that attorney has the right to defend you, and that's why it's decided in a court of law.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being somebody who's like representing somebody who's on trial for like being a serial killer, or that would be hard.
When I was doing criminal defense work, I refused to take any cases involving child molestation or murder because it just didn't sit right with me. I don't want to judge my own client. So if they called, I would just say, I don't even want to talk to you. Send it down the hall.
Admirable. By the way, I got summoned twice within the last 5 years, both essays. And I was like, and I promised myself, especially the second time, that they make you fill out the at least here a booklet of all the things of reasons why you
are not
fit for the case. And I answered all of them honestly. I didn't lie to get out of it. And one of them I was like, I have children, and if I'm going to say anything, I may see my daughters in the victim. And so I just wanted to be honest about that.
But you also have to remember that in a lot of these cases that we have parents on the jury, and it has to be a cross-section of your local community.
Yep.
And we don't want just on the jury just people without kids. We have to have people with kids.
True.
And, really, it boils down to whether the judge thinks you can put aside those experiences.
Or yeah,
biases, of course, but your life experiences with your own children to say, let me just look at this case.
Just
it's really
facts.
hard.
Take the emotion out of it. Look at the facts.
Well, jury selection is one of those crazy things too. I had a debate with my brother Aaron, because Aaron was like, he's time is money. He's got kids. He makes money for the house, whatever. And he was like, no, I do this to get out of jury duty. And I kind of took the opposite position. I was like, here's the thing though. We need smart people on juries too. So if you're smart enough to be able to get out of jury, we probably need you in the jury box
to make those decisions.
Right.
Well, I also think they should be paying people a little bit more. If people live
But it's your
paycheck to
civil
paycheck
duty
these
though.
days.
It should be your civil duty. You're
but
right.
if people live paycheck to paycheck and they're missing days of work,
Yeah.
you're gonna pay them. What was it, $11 a day?
Yeah, especially if it goes like
That doesn't even pay my
one of
Wi-Fi
those
bill.
trials could probably go 6 months.
Most of mine last about a month.
Okay.
So we have a lot of jurors in the community that say, I just can't be here financially.
Yeah. Okay.
So speaking of jury, how important is the jury? Like, how do you select jurors, and how important is that to the outcome of the case?
Extremely important. If somebody has a bias against lawsuits, against people filing lawsuits, they're not going to be a good juror because they're going to say, I don't care what this case is about. I'm going to automatically say you haven't proven it, or it's not.
You just want
worth
money or something like that.
I've heard all sorts of things being thrown at me, but I'm grateful because those are the people. If they're willing to say that out loud, at least they're showing their biases enough to we can kick them off and say, hey, we need somebody more neutral.
Does the opposite counsel want that person though?
Of course.
Okay, so it is sort of a battle too, like a negotiation, right?
Well, the judge ultimately decides if that person has shown too much bias.
Okay. Okay.
If the person sitting in that chair says to the judge, all my biases included, I can set it aside and just judge this case based on the facts. Sometimes to some judges that's enough, even though this person has said the most wacky things, right?
Yeah.
So, but each judge is different, and they judge it themselves.
Okay. File that away.
Do you guys actually do let's say somebody doesn't say that verbally. Do you guys kind of look into people who are potential jurors? Do you kind of run check their Facebook, check
social
their
media?
Do a deep dive?
Well,
or if you
There's
can't,
hundreds.
if you can't answer, don't answer.
There's like big groups, right? Like I was with like 200 people or something for the last one, and then they
But
whittled
like
it down.
Right, but like the actual I'm sure you get, how many jurors are there?
Well, 12 jurors in a civil case.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you get alternates 1 to 6, depending on how long the case is.
Okay.
Well, you have to remember, as the plaintiff's lawyer, we get the first opportunity to speak to the potential jurors. So if somebody's being quiet, maybe they're just nodding along, it's on me to ask each and every juror what their opinions are about the case, about something that is bothering them that they want to know about. And when it comes to sexual abuse, usually people have an opinion, one way or the other. And so it's on me to ask those questions.
Okay. Get it out of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of essay.
Probably a good segue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you encounter a lot of very tragic stories, very tragic situations. How do you, as an attorney, cope with that?
That's a difficult part. I seek counseling myself once a month at least. And I'm very open about it. I share with my clients as well because I feel like it's important that that's something that's open.
Right.
A lot of our clients are Latino, Spanish-speaking population, and that's something that's shunned, or they think it's only for crazy people. And I try to get rid of that stigma.
Normalize it.
Yep.
I think it would make me feel more comfortable if I knew that my attorney was affected by my case, like you are seeking counsel therapy because you are affected. That would make me feel like I could trust my, like you have an emotional attachment to this case.
I think the way that I hear that, you and I had a conversation when we were in Arizona, all hanging out. And that was the question that I asked you because we had a pretty good conversation. I have children, so it's important for me to, if I have an opportunity to talk to somebody like you who sees these things a lot, as we were talking, I was thinking to myself, I don't even watch movies. Since I've had kids, I don't watch movies. If I see in the movie plot that something happens bad to a kid, I don't need that in my life. So like that's how I am about it. And then so as you're talking about it, I go, okay, if I put myself in his shoes, how does he deal with that? And you told me, like, I go to talk to somebody about that. To his point, if you have an attorney that doesn't, says something, and I'm not saying there are attorneys that don't see counsel, they're probably great or whatever, but somebody that takes it that seriously, that knows that it can't affect them emotionally so they can be able to do their job appropriately. Because if you didn't go to see somebody to talk about it, that might negatively affect how you view a case. So yes, to your point, taking that extra step to make sure that it doesn't get in the way of you doing a good job, but also so that you don't take as much of it as less of it as you can home. I imagine
that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Joanna, my wife, she's heard the stories. I've come home crying to her because some of these stories are horrific of what I have to hear. And it's hard because I wish I could have protected these kids myself. And now I'm just trying to pick up the pieces and give these survivors their voice back.
Yeah.
What would you say the most challenging case for you, looking back at your career emotionally would be?
When you say that, a couple cases come to mind. And those are the cases involving suing school districts where we lost, where we couldn't prove. See, in criminal cases, you have to prove that something took place, that part.
Right.
In our cases, we have to prove that it took place, but also that the school had some prior red flags or should have known. Because
it was after, right? Because it's a responsibility. You're talking about the institution too.
Yes, the institution missed a red flag or failed to do their job. Because as we all know, school employees aren't going to be in every corner all the time. I understand that. But if you missed a red flag, then you should be held accountable and responsible. So when you asked me that question, I think of the cases that we've lost. And I've had to come to these victims and tell them to their face, we lost. Yeah. But that's the beauty of this work, because every single time I've come to those survivors and talked to them and told them we've lost, they are the ones that pick me up. When it's usually me picking them up. And that's why we do this work, because it changed my life to know that they were just so happy that somebody believed in them. Fought for them, took it all the way, even if we lost.
Yeah.
Damn, I have goosebumps.
I know.
That is incredible. Is there a case that you won and that you feel, I'm sure every case you win, it's rewarding, it feels special. Is there one to you that stands out? Maybe it was more challenging and you guys were victorious?
I would say a verdict that we have from about 9 months ago, it feels more fulfilling than others. We dealt with a very difficult judge, extremely difficult.
Okay.
And I'd known these kids since they were kids, and now they're all pretty much adults. The case had been fought, it had been taken all the way up to the California Supreme Court because of some legal issue. We changed the law.
Okay.
It's called Susie's Law now because of that case. And we got the kids an amazing verdict. And just to be with those young people for that long, have them put up with that battle, knowing that the lawyers on the other side felt that they weren't worth anything, that they're just some poor little kids, Latino kids that don't deserve justice. To get that victory for them felt amazing.
It can, I mean, my litigation was nothing as extreme or traumatic as that. And even during my deposition, like I felt like they were trying to make me feel like a low piece of doo-doo. And so I can't imagine, you know, these kids already go through something traumatic, and then you get into this legal battle and you have the opposing counsel who spares no word when trying to make you feel like you either deserved it or you're crazy. Damn.
Especially a hard-fought one, and it validates the kids that were victims too, even if they're a little bit older, now that somebody listened, somebody cares, and they have value.
Yes. And a lot of times the first feeling that they tell me is that it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
That's what they need to hear, that the jury says it wasn't because of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's a real thing where victims sometimes blame themselves. I should have done this different. I should have done that. I shouldn't have spoken up because now this is so much bigger. And
what did I do?
Yeah.
You mentioned having a very difficult judge. Judges cycle, right? They go from family court to criminal court to being somebody who grew up and is an OG in family court. We dealt with some very like cutthroat judges who I think made decisions about my life without thinking of the impact it would have on me, being sent to the wilderness, all that stuff. Do you think that judges should maybe stay in one? Because I feel like if you go from criminal court and then you go into family court, I think you go with this like such cutthroat, like you're guilty. You're like, I feel like there needs to be a little bit of emotion in family court when you're dealing with people's families. Do you agree with that? Like judges should
rotating
like
instead of being specialized
Yeah,
and
like a
understanding
specialized judge.
Specific area, maybe getting hardened with criminal cases and applying whatever hardened outlook you have in that arena, and then bring it into family court where maybe it's not justifiable. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I mean, I would agree with you. And a lot of times, well, at least the civil world, most of the civil judges stay in civil just because that's how it is. But criminal family traffic, a lot of times they rotate. And judges are like what you said earlier, Ronnie, they're just people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you have people that care and people that don't. And you got to understand from a judge's perspective, they're trying to rush through all their cases.
Yeah.
They got their supervising judge on their behind. So I recognize that. I see them and I hear what they're going through. And I'm one of the most compassionate people. Sometimes I feel like I'm too compassionate because I feel like how can people not see my client and believe what I feel or believe what I see? But with judges, it's the same thing. Like, I know what you're going through, but just have a heart.
Right. And show it a little bit.
Show it a little bit.
Soften up a little bit.
Show some compassion.
Yeah. I think they go into cases like knowing they need to present this hard exterior and just refuse to like soften up a little bit.
I know we were talking about the child cases, and before we move on to some of the civil rights stuff that you do, want to share a personal anecdote and ask some questions. I know in the time that we've been doing this show, we do have parents of kids that have messaged in that have asked us questions about certain situations with sexuality, identity. When we did our first episode or one of the episodes, there was some...
Not our first,
Right.
not the chaotic mess one, but our first episode that we released, you know, I talked about...
Eric shared a lot, and there was a great response from parents that I think that that don't have it. We have you here as somebody who knows a lot about it. That's an expert that's seen enough of these cases, and so again, you and I had a conversation. We were in Arizona, and admittedly, I'm one of those dads who don't allow my kids to do sleepovers. I know a couple of other parents that are the same way. I also know some other parents that think that's crazy and that it's robbing children of memories. And I've had, my kids are a little bit older now, and they understand. Matter of fact, I told them that you were coming on the show, and it was a great moment when we were having a walk, and I said, you know, he's going to be on. He's the person that helps kids hold people to justice that overlooked some of these things. And I said, I struggled with being the dad that when they were younger and they would cry all night because their friends are having a sleepover. You and I had a conversation about that. I think you told me that if you're trying to mitigate or eliminate an essay from happening in that situation, it's a good decision. So it made me feel validated and not like a weirdo dad that's being too conservative about something. But we also talked about other arenas to be concerned about too. And so a lot of times I've done enough reading, and again, you're the expert here, but like a lot of times it's a family member or a neighbor or somebody that's in the close circle, but it also happens in other areas too. Churches, schools you'd mentioned. If you were going to give advice to parents based on kind of what you know, what are some things that, at least some guardrails for parents to think about? Like everybody's going to parent differently, but you being in the position that you are, is there anything that you can share that you think would be helpful for parents to think about?
First off, how you handled your children in sleepovers is exactly how I would recommend.
Mikey co-signs that.
Yes.
Thank you.
I know, I hope your wife is listening.
Yeah, no, she's on board too.
Okay. I didn't have sleepovers as a kid, and I didn't understand it. I didn't appreciate it. Now, looking back, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
It's just, it's life, unfortunately. There are predators out there, and they could be someone's friend, someone's uncle, someone's, who knows?
Yeah.
And you're mitigating that risk by not having your kids be in those environments.
Yeah.
And as difficult a conversation it is to have with your kids who are crying about it, my kids are young. I'm sure I'm going to have those same conversations, but it's just for their protection.
Yep.
And we're not accusing anybody who on the other side, maybe the parents on the other end that may be involved. We're not saying anything about them. We're just saying something about ourselves and our comfort. Okay. Some other things that I would tell parents, and I've been very vocal about it, is you have to talk to kids about their bodies. And how do you do that? You start reading them books early on about their bodies, their body autonomy, feeling comfortable about saying no. Some of the things that I've seen parents do, and it's no judgment, hey, hug this person, hug that person. No. What if your kid doesn't want to?
Right.
You have to give your children the choice. Do you want to give them a high five? Do you want to hug them? Let them have their choice because it's their body. They get to decide.
Okay.
And then the last thing I would say is stranger danger, right? We've all heard that term.
Yeah.
It's not always a stranger. It's the great coach, the great teacher, after school, the tutor, you name it. How do we prevent it? It's hard. We have to try our best. But it's not just a stranger. You have to look inside, and if your child is spending too much time with another adult that's not or even related to you, unsupervised, and that creates a situation. Well, what about schools and after school? You got to let your kids go to those. I get it, but you be the watchful eye.
Yeah. I think people often think that an abuser also has to be an adult, which one of mine wasn't an adult yet. He was an older, young teen adult.
In a position of authority over you.
And so I think people look over that too. It's like, okay, no, we trust the parents. The parents are good. Go ahead and have a sleepover. But like if there's an older brother or an older sister, those are also things that really need to be considered too, because I think those are often overlooked. Like, no, a kid wouldn't do that. Like, no,
kids do that too. And a lot of these young teenagers are exploring their bodies. They're exploring other bodies. And we just want to avoid those situations. That's why you said a perfect situation. Avoid sleepovers.
Yeah. Thank you, Mikey.
I'm glad you feel better. I'm surprised that you remember that conversation.
Yeah, no, he's brought it up so many times.
Oh, wow.
There have been we have twins. We have boy-girl twins, and the experience is, it's interesting because I thought it would be different, but it's the same for my son, the concerns, as it is for my daughters. And we had a conversation about teachers, you and I did too. And we don't have to get into it if you don't want, but like there were some decisions, business decisions made that I said, if there's a profile of a teacher that one of the kids gets assigned, we're going to say no, and we're going to state our reasons. And I feel that it's well represented with facts. And so I've stuck with that, and so far so good.
Good.
So.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't want to alienate anyone because I know friends that are teachers, and
Yes.
I don't want to make a blanket statement. But
Right. But just yeah, he's brought that conversation up many times. He's shared it with other people at my mom's house when we've been in conversation. So, which is another reason why we were so excited to have you on the show is because you are so knowledgeable. You deal with this stuff firsthand. You also have been dealing with a lot of immigration stuff recently. Is it just recently, or have you kind of been, representing people who have been wronged for quite some time?
Well, we've been doing civil rights cases, and now it's been something, unfortunately, given this recent administration, that we've vamped up. And that is we represent U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents in cases where they've been roughed up by ICE or Border Patrol.
Okay.
So it's something, since this reign of terror started in August, that's kind of where we've done. And I think we represent either 15 or 16 U.S. citizens now.
So to be clear, these are people that have a valid reason to be here.
Yes.
Legally. Okay.
Yes. So we don't do immigration law, so I can't comment on others, but our cases are specifically U.S. citizens. And our folks are not the people necessarily that are out there watching the Border Patrol ICE agents do their job and reporting back. My people are the ones going to work,
Okay.
and they're just walking while brown.
So there are cases where they're getting abused because of a profile, sort of crossfire kind of. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, and a lot of people see the stories or see statements put out by the administration and say, oh, no U.S. citizens are being stopped. Totally false.
Totally false.
I can tell you that right now.
Okay. Well, it started off as, we're just going for the criminals, right? And then it looked like it was, if you look the part, you sound the part. If you look Mexican, you sound, you speak Spanish, and legally that doesn't sound like that's probable cause to stop anybody for anything, correct?
So what's happening then? How are these people, the people that you're representing, how are they getting swept up in this? Like, can you take us through like an example of like what's happening?
Sure, I'll give you just two quick examples. And these are for examples of clients that recently went to Washington, D.C. to a Senate forum hearing.
Okay.
And testified as to their experiences. One was a young lady who was getting dropped off for work in the morning in downtown LA. ICE and Border Patrol pull up their unmarked vehicle with their masks on, and there's some food vendors as she's walking to her job. They close in on the food vendors. They chase them down the street. I don't know their status. We still don't know. And they, as one of them's coming, she puts her bag up, and she gets run over by one of them. And she's in a daze. She gets up, and then all of a sudden he says, okay, you know what? I'm taking you in. Well, wait a minute. I'm a U.S. citizen. I've done nothing wrong. Doesn't matter. Get in the car.
And I wasn't your original target either.
Exactly. And then she insists, I'm a U.S. citizen, speaking full English. And that's one example. The next example, agents go into a business. It's like a car lot where this guy resells cars. And they go in without a warrant, and they start looking around, and they see Latino people. And my guy comes out, hey, what's going on? And then one of the agents says, get him. He's a Mexican, right?
Oh, my God.
And so then they throw him to the ground. This is all on video. That's why I have this. They throw him to the ground, and then they start talking to him. He says, I'm a U.S. citizen. I've done nothing wrong. They fabricated charges against him and against the other case that I'm talking about. They have to bail out. The first gal was in jail for 2 days. The other gentleman was in jail for 5 days. Finally released. He missed Father's Day. And they're released, their charges get dropped, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, what do we do?
Now what?
So now we have to sue the federal government for what happened.
Holy cow. So I think the thing I see most on social media right now is constitutional rights are being violated. And I feel like when people hear constitutional rights, it can sound a little abstract. So who does that apply to? Do non-citizens have the same constitutional rights as citizens, or how does that work?
Yes, under the Constitution, anybody that's within the United States has the same rights as the next person, citizen or non-citizen, which is hard for a lot of people on the conservative side to say, well, they're undocumented, they shouldn't be here, or they're illegal. No human being is legal.
Right.
But they shouldn't be here, so therefore they don't have rights. No, absolutely. Everybody in this country has due process rights. But those are getting run over roughshod by this administration.
Well, and to bring up the most recent case in Minneapolis, insane. And I think when we all have eyeballs and we can all see what everybody else is seeing, and this administration gets up and says she's a domestic terrorist, one, it really discredits anything they say moving forward, right? Because we know they love to make up stories. What is your take on that situation?
The DHS, Kristi Noem, and the administration, they put out a lot of propaganda. They put out false statements about clients I represent and cases, eventually cases that were dismissed. We're seeing that now on a larger scale in this shooting that took place in Minnesota. And even though my eyes tell a story, tells it to you, a lot of the folks on the conservative side said, oh no, she was trying to run over him. We've handled a similar case involving a school safety officer that shot and killed somebody, and that school safety officer was prosecuted for what they did. Same claim, the car was gonna run over him. Total fabrication, right? But to call a US citizen who has a little child at home that gets left behind a domestic terrorist, to dehumanize, that's kind of the platform. Dehumanization, justifying the actions.
Making people think she deserved it, which a lot of the videos that were first released didn't include, where she waived the first ice. Like, if you're trying to obstruct people's job, I'm sure you're not going to wave them through, right? And just the whole way it was handled.
I think in light of it being such a hot button issue, you see marshaling of forces on both sides and the politicization of it, right? It's a political issue, obviously. But what happens is there's messaging that gets sent out, right? And so the case is being tried in public opinion before it even makes it to the courtroom, which is done on purpose, right? Because then you have jury pressure, you have all these external factors that hopefully you get a jury selection that hasn't heard about it, but you obviously know how hard that's going to be. And I think part of the problem is that we have cameras everywhere and people are going to give their opinions on everything. It's one of those things where you wish that people would, especially people in positions of power, whether it be the President, Kristi Noem, or anybody else for that matter, to say, this is a tragedy. First of all, it's a tragedy. I did a little bit of reading on it. The ICE agent got dragged by a car 6 months ago, 300 feet. My initial response was, trauma there.
Probably shouldn't be in the field.
But probably shouldn't be back in the field in 6 months. So there's all these different, I guess, pieces of information that need to be considered. And like within hours, it's being tried already in the court of public opinion. And I guess that's a tactic in law, but like, as just a normal person watching, knowing that it's a tragedy, can we just wait until everything is done to figure out what exactly happened and figure out who's at fault, right? I mean, would you agree?
Yes, I would. But the problem with this administration is that there is going to be no accountability whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay.
The only justice that can come for the family is in a civil court. And so that's kind of the difference between this administration versus others. Prior administrations, you could see that there would be a full investigation, some accountability. But as far as we're aware, this gentleman is back on the streets doing the same thing.
Full immunity.
Already?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the full details, but this administration is unlike any other that we've seen in law, and it's a first. Just complete violation of constitutional norms and rights, and that's where I think the frustration is, because people ask me, well, like, what's the next step? What's going to happen? Nothing.
Nobody knows.
It's
Nothing's going to happen.
The unpredictability.
Yes, nothing's going to happen as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah.
If I was a DHS worker, like a good one, like a honest one, I would be
I think
pissed.
there probably are.
I would be pissed because I feel like homegirl Kristi just put a huge target on DHS workers' backs now, because I feel like the next city they go to, someone's going to be so pissed off somewhere and meet them where they're at with their violence, because here you have it clean as day and you have the opportunity to prove that you can.
To me, my opinion on this whole thing, like, if the idea is that there was an extreme amount of people in the previous administration that were left, because that's what we hear, that were let in. I've heard numbers as large as 20 million, and there's asylum seekers. There's probably violent people that were let in as well. I mean, there's cases, outlier cases that we hear of criminals that are from different countries that have murdered people here. Horrible, horrible stories. If the idea is you have to have an excessive reaction to that, to me, this seems like a show of force more than anything. Because if you wanted to get people to self-deport that shouldn't be here, you debank them and you cut off any sort of welfare or social infrastructure. I'm talking about people that are here illegally, right? It'd be a nonviolent, non-confrontational way to do it. And so like, the way that I think about it is if you wanted that people, if the money dried up and they weren't able to be here for what they thought they were going to be here for, they're probably going to leave.
My thing is with Obama, they used to call him the deporter-in-chief because he deported more than any other president. But he did it the right way. Well,
Okay.
not the right way, I should say it. He did it without terrorizing
A more
communities.
humane way.
More humane
Without
way.
federal agents.
Yes, without people with their rights being just run over.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do it without escalating the tensions. Having federal agents in every one of these big blue cities is just escalating tensions. And as we see, it's reaching a boiling point.
Yeah.
Well, the intimidation is not intimidating.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gone too far.
and there's rhetoric on both sides too, right? Where like again, like you said, there's probably some people that think they're doing the right thing that are working for ICE. They think that they're getting criminals, dangerous criminals off the street, and I want to give them that. I think it's again, it's a powder keg now. When you have these incidents that happen, you know, where do we go from here? Does it settle down? And I don't think. I think the temperature in the room that I'm checking and reading the room feels like now it's a standoff.
It's just going to keep escalating because they have a bigger budget now. They're going to send out more agents. It's unfortunate. It just keeps building.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're okay, let's say it started with criminals, right? We're going after criminals, and we encounter all these people who have zero criminal record, trying to live the American dream, right? Why are we not providing resources?
Like an amnesty, like a path to citizenship.
okay.
It's been talked about for years and years and years. Yeah.
Okay, in Los Angeles, massive fire took out the city of Los Angeles. Teach somebody a trade and help rebuild the city of Los Angeles at a much quicker
Talk
rate.
about Pacific Palisades.
Instead of like getting them
What a mess.
out of here.
It's a mess. Well, we had to be evacuated too in Pasadena for
Yeah.
those fires, the Eaton fire.
We were actually supposed to go somewhere.
Yes, we were.
Which very happy your house survived, by the way. But I mean, that's the way I look at these situations is you have hardworking human beings who are already here. They're not trying to hurt anybody.
Right.
They just want to be left alone and live life, right?
Yep.
Why not provide them an opportunity? They're already here.
Well, and a lot of former Republican presidents were very vocal about advocating for those communities as well. And now you've just seen the pendulum swing the other way.
Yeah. Do you think that's in reaction, like to set the stage, like an agreement? Because it also feels like we're watching the same movie on two different screens sometimes. Like
Yes.
if I look at how each event is viewed, it's from like we all see the same thing, but the way that we interpret it is completely different. So like we've heard that there was a whole bunch of people that were let in during Joe Biden. Now, are we accepting that as truth? Like you're kind of in it more than we are. Is that true?
I don't believe that rhetoric.
No,
at all.
you don't.
No.
Okay.
Well, how can you when you see what they say about
Well, no,
what
I'm saying
just
is
happened?
the sheer number. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the sheer number was like something extraordinary.
I don't believe that because they talk about these numbers like 8,000% increase on assault on ICE agents and Border Patrol officers.
Okay.
Where I know for a fact that they fabricate charges and then just later drop them because the video proves otherwise.
Got it.
So
But those charges still stay on the docket when they're reporting
For
the
their
numbers is what you're saying.
statistics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when it comes to numbers, I can't believe this administration.
Okay.
But I agree with you, Ronnie. I follow social media of conservative folks because I want to see their perspective.
Sure,
and I want
same.
most people are somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
And-
we talk about that all the time.
Yeah, that was my
That's
whole
why
thing.
it's hard to
is-
tackle these subjects because, and this is why I'm bringing this up because I didn't want it to be like if we all agree on something, on an idea, the show's boring, right? Honestly, the conversation is boring. And I may hold views on this that are different than the both of you too. And I think, we have to explain about how we're processing information.
Or how it's
and to
being
have
fed
a good
to us.
conversation, we all have to agree on what parameters are we talking about this in. So if I say I'm operating from the assumption that when I hear 20 million people came in here, that may not be documented, right? Well, if you don't believe that, then we're not even ready to have a conversation yet.
Well, it's hard to document people that have come in through means that are undocumentable.
Right.
So
how do we know?
How are we tracking
Right.
how are we documenting the undocumented?
it's hard. And to bring it back to the original point about jury selection, bias, right?
Yeah.
So some people may view the video of Renee Good a certain way because of their experiences and bias. Same with me. I view it a certain way because of my experience in my past. So
Right.
it's hard to come to some middle ground when your views give you a different perspective.
Sure.
I guess.
The same movie, two different interpretations of what's happening. Yeah.
Well, and that's something I've said on the show is I feel, the one thing I want people to realize is it's the extremists on both sides that are in charge of the media, I feel like, and we're being fed information that makes people feel like you either have to be so far over here or so far over here, when in reality, we all coexist in the middle.
Purity tests. You
Yes.
see the purity tests all the time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you somehow agree on this issue with one group, but you disagree over here, then you're not really in.
Then you're not really in with us.
Which, by the way, is okay with me. I don't really like to be grouped anyway. But I see it happening. It's like purity tests here and there, and you almost have to betray your own eyes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I recently got into a very heated discussion. I actually messaged you about this. Was receiving a service and politics came up, ICE
What?
came up. Not.
What are you talking about here?
Well, I've already said it. I was getting a haircut, and
Okay.
I was on my lunch break.
That's all you had
Not
to
that
say.
type of service.
It sounds worse as a service.
Yeah. Okay. I was.
What are we servicing?
Okay, whatever. And politics came up. I said, look, I don't want to talk about this. And we kept going. And I always try and come from the angle of, oh my God, Ronnie, stop.
Sorry, you do to me every show.
I try to come from the angle where we are going to find middle ground, right? And it was not happening. And he, said, well, if you think you can do such a better job, why don't you go work for ICE? And first of all, let's be real. Do you think I was put on this earth to work for ICE? Absolutely not. But you don't need to have a better solution to have an opinion about the current solution. My question to you is, what would you view a better solution to be?
I think that if they focus their efforts more on actual criminal investigations, I think the entire country would support that. But what you're seeing is terrorizing communities, and specifically the Latino community that I represent, that most of my clients are from. When we see them attacking people because of the language they speak or that they're walking while brown, that's where it pisses me off, and that's where we have to jump into action to help those people.
Yeah.
I love your Instagram videos. Know your rights. If there is anybody who is watching who is either undocumented or has family members who are undocumented
Or
and
documented and swept up in some of the cases
true,
that he's
true.
representing.
I guess, yeah. What
Documented. A citizen.
Yeah.
Or here, they should be here.
What advice, what rights do you want them to know?
It's so hard to say. As somebody that's undocumented, have your family plan in place because there are not many protections for you. And for those citizens and permanent residents, always be recording. I mean, I have to tell, I have a friend that's a former veteran that he carries around a passport, 2 forms of ID.
He's a veteran.
He's a veteran. And one of those folks that testified in the Senate hearing was a U.S. Army veteran that was caught up in these raids, was held in detention in a suicide cell. I mean, one of the most horrific circumstances that we've seen. So that's where it pisses me off, because it's not just the criminals and the worst of the worst. It's Latinos. This guy was on his way to work.
Yeah.
And people who laid their life on the line for this country.
Yes, he fought for the freedoms, and he talks very openly about it. I fought for the freedoms, and now I'm in custody because of this racism.
Are these federal agents, you dealing primarily in Southern California, did you get it?
Almost.
Are they from out of state, usually?
What
do we know?
Seeing, what we're seeing is a mix.
Okay.
At first in Los Angeles, a lot of those Border Patrol and ICE agents were from the El Centro area and the border front. Those in Minneapolis, I'm not sure right now.
Yeah, I just feel like it's the same thing with policing. You feel like people do a little bit better job if they know the community that they're in and policing it. And I feel like if you get a group of ICE agents from Montana, Nebraska that are assigned to Los Angeles and don't understand the culture in Los Angeles, or the Bay Area for that matter, that it's a multicultural place. You know, the profiling probably happens less if you have somebody from the area that's actually doing the job and doing it in an honorable way.
Well, I agree with you, but then we come to find out the shooting of Renee Good was by somebody that lives in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So
I've seen some sketchy videos of the pep talks that these guys are given before they're going out, and
that's where I was going to go.
And doing that.
The problem is the rhetoric from Stephen Miller. This rhetoric about an invasion and we're stopping an invasion, that is dehumanization language. And that means that these agents don't look at their fellow man as a man. They look at him as a criminal invader that we must protect this country. You don't have to speak like that to have power and to do your job. But when you speak like that, it rackets up the violence and the temperature.
I think you're making a delineation between when you're in the military and you have an enemy, part of the job is to dehumanize them. Honestly, that's what you go through. It should be the same for law enforcement. That's the delineation there, is that ICE agents shouldn't be approaching this as military.
Yes, and that's why local police officers, they go out on community events. They get to know their community because then, like you said, they're more likely to not be violent, treat their fellow man as a man, as a human, as opposed to just the enemy.
Right.
So what does accountability look like moving forward? I mean, we have laws in place for a reason. They're being violated. How does ICE, someone as powerful as ICE, how do they get held accountable? And what does change look like?
Well, I wish the Supreme Court would have made some changes, but they didn't. In fact, they gave a blank check to ICE. Changes, I think, would be the pendulum swinging the other way. And at the midterms, if the Democrats can hold that and win that, then there can be some accountability, some oversight. Until then, it's like a free-for-all.
Okay.
Well,
is there any information? I know that you're helping folks out in Southern California. A lot of our friends of the show, they're all over, but a lot of them are in the Bay Area too. Is there any resources that they can find on some of the cases or information that you're providing folks?
I mean, if they go to my Instagram, they can see some of those cases and examples that we've had. They just keep growing, unfortunately. There was an article that was published and talked about 170 U.S. citizens that were caught up in these raids. That was from a couple months ago. And that number is extremely low, and it's not accurate. There's more because out of those 170, I think like 12 of them were our cases. And we're just a small office in Pasadena.
So I'm sure you guys are, I mean, I hope not, but it sounds like you guys may be getting more busy. I mean.
Fortunately, unfortunately.
Yeah. Bittersweet. Yeah.
Do you have any more questions for our friends?
Well, this was like a heavy one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of odd because if we know Mikey, he's talking about his professional world and he's an expert in this area, but you're not always this serious. You're a fun guy to be around.
I know.
So like let's I want to make sure that we understand that you are buttoned up, you're smart and all that.
Suited and booted.
And you have to separate the work life from the personal life. And so but I just want everybody to know that he's a fun
an amazing
guy
human being. We're going to go have a lovely dinner tonight.
Yes, thank you. Well, I used to DJ at bars just like this. I had a good time.
Actually, I'm going to make him get on the tables.
Oh, you're going to make me get on the tables?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm going to. And don't forget, we have something that we're supposed to lobby for change for. Do you remember what that is? We talked about it on vacation overseas.
Uh-oh. See, now he's putting you on the spot. That's so mean.
I know.
Give him a hint. Okay, hold on. What arena is it in?
Education.
Might have had a few cocktails. So
yeah, it's unfair.
The Fun Mikey. Yeah, we were dealing with the Fun Mikey. You don't remember?
Oh my gosh, give me a hint.
Yeah, that's
education.
Okay, education.
No,
Let's
I know,
go a little bit further than that.
Yes, thank you.
We were going to. Where do you go to change laws?
Sacramento.
We're gonna go to Sacramento. Well, you were. Okay. I'll go with you if you want. But people who are in their senior year of high school, restructuring what their curriculum looks like because you turn 18, you have zero idea about credit, what insurance is deductible. Like, who cares what the last president, like the president.
You mean like something to help people become adults and understand how to
like a
balance
life skills
checkbook.
class
Nobody
needs
has
to be
checkbooks
in
anymore.
people's senior year of school. Like, it needs to be a class.
Yeah.
You need to learn about what a deductible is, why your credit score is so important. You know, I had a guy lie for me. Well, he had a crush on me. I was 17 years old, and he lied on my credit card application and gave me a credit card at 17 years old, and I didn't know what credit was. I maxed that thing out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, I have to pay this
Predatory.
back? This is not, this wasn't a loan?
That's my first credit card was like that. I signed up for it at 18,
See?
maxed it out. Oh, I have to pay this money
I'm
back?
like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
I thought it was free money.
Yes,
What
exactly.
is this score? What? Oh, I can't get anything because, so yeah, that's our next order of business.
Now I remember that, yes. And it's been a long time for me since I've been in high school, but I felt like there was some movement to get that changed years ago, but maybe I'm wrong. And we need to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm open to it, for sure.
That was
Let's
supposed to
set
be what
these-
home economics was supposed to be, but I think they did away with that too. That was like more like knitting and shit.
Well, they also took
And
out
cooking.
Cooking,
well,
which
that,
is important.
and you
but-
also used to be able to take your driver's ed in high school. You
Yeah.
can't do that
Yes,
anymore,
yeah.
which
Well-
is crazy. Not here.
Liability lawsuits, those damn lawyers.
Well, no, it was just the like you get your written hours. Like,
oh, I
like
thought you could do the driving part. That was back
not
in
when
the
I
day
was
too.
in maybe your guys' time.
Yeah, I got
Not
you,
my
Mikey.
time.
I got you, Mikey.
But now you can't do anything to get your license in high school. You
They
gotta
would do it in your
all.
freshman or sophomore year, I think, when we were in high school, or when I was in high
No,
school.
you had to be your sophomore, not freshman.
Anyway,
Anyways, Mikey, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I know it got a little
no, it's good.
passionate there, but
It's good. It's good. Like I think this show is about doing that. We like to
100%.
bring on people that actually know stuff because we don't know shit. Honestly,
We know
So-
what
so-
we think we know.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Even
yeah.
then, we don't know shit.
well,
and-
if you talk to the lawyers on the other side, they would say, "Hey, that guy doesn't know shit either."
Yeah, I
yeah.
know.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Those are the ones
No.
we don't like.
It's all good. It's just good to, first of all, you're an awesome dude. It was good to hear your perspective on things that I think are super important to me, parents, and also something that's timely. It's a hot button issue. And I think more information and more opinion sharing is super important in finding common ground on how we can just be better. So
And I think people don't know where to go for information or, so I think it's good that we have somebody like you sitting.
yeah,
on
and it's
the
good to know that
couch.
there's lawyers like you out there.
Yes.
So
So if you were in California,
which is
you
what
were
my daughter,
injured.
which is by the way, which is what my daughter said. By the way, it's good that there's people like him out there when we're talking about the abuse thing. So
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm very proud of that work, and I will continue to do that work as long as these clients and their parents trust me with it.
Absolutely. And maybe squeeze in some time to be a DJ.
Well, I guess we'll check that out tonight.
go.
Stay tuned for that.
Alrighty. Thank you.
thank you,
Thank
Mikey.
you, guys.
Stay tuned next week, guys.